Hey champs, I apologize. It's about 4 after 1. I'm a couple minutes late coming on here, because mom life, right? Preschool pickup runs late the day that you have to be on a call at a certain time. But hey, that's life. My name is Megan Popp. I'm going to give a couple minutes to see if anyone is able to hop on with us before we kick off our action hour. So as you come on, say hello, give me a thumbs up or a heart or something so I know that you're there. I'm super excited to help with this week's action hour. I have built my business on power hours and power pockets, and I really think that it is massively, massively important. So many coaches, I see some of my coaches coming on. So many coaches are, juggling lots of different things. I work full time. I have 4 small kids, and it's just easy to get totally overwhelmed and feel like you don't have time. Hey, Amber. Hey, Teresa. When, it's easy to feel like you don't have the time. But if you are working from a business activity tracker, and today we are going to be using the Success Club business activity tracker, which I highly recommend, and I'll have to talk about that in just a moment. You have to be using something that anchors your business, that helps you focus on activities that are driving your business forward. It is so easy to get caught up feeling like you're doing all this work, but really you're just spinning your wheels. And more times than not, when I talk with coaches and they're like, I'm doing all the things, but nothing's happening. When we stop and look at what they're doing, so often they're not doing business building actions and activities, and that's the crux of the business. Success Club and the vital behaviors is what 100% has helped me and guided me to build my own business. And I always tell people I'm nothing special. I'm nobody special in terms of why I have found some success here. So if you are new in your coaching journey, or if you've been around for a while and you are just having a hard time gaining some traction, I really want to challenge you to implement the Success Club business activity tracker for the next month and see what happens. And I promise you, if you can commit to doing this on a daily, regular basis, it's impossible to not see growth in your business. And it really gives you an idea of what you're spending your time doing, right? So just like with our workouts, if you're not tracking and paying attention to how regularly you're showing up, to what your nutrition looks like, to what weights you were lifting, if you're not tracking your physical journey, we would tell our challengers, that that's an important component. So you have to show up for your business in that same capacity. So what and there's a lot of different trackers out there. I do want to let you know that that is an area you can really overcomplicate this. There's so many different power hour templates and power pocket templates. And by all means, you have to find something that works for you. But I absolutely love this tracker because I think that corporate has done a great job streamlining activities that really focus on moving our businesses forward. And that if you're in a crunch for time, I love that it's one page. I love that the whole week is right there. You can print it out. I'm a pen and paper gal, so I've always worked off notebooks, and this is perfect for me. I print off one a week. It does run through Thursday through Wednesday, but I really do mine Monday through, how's that work? Monday through Saturday? Monday through Sunday, sorry. It just works in my brain to print it off at the beginning of the week and have it printed. So what we're gonna do is just go through this together. If you're not regularly doing power pockets or power hours, again, I challenge you to try it for the next 30 days and show up for yourself, show up for your business, and then see what kind of difference it makes in your outcomes. I think that you'll be really pleasantly surprised. So some of the tracker, if you're not super familiar with it, and if you're not, you can find this in the file section right here on the Champs page. Likely your coaches have put it in your team page. Hey, Brittany. You can find it in your Coach Online office. There's lots of different places that you can find it, but it'll print off 2 sheets. You have your top sheet, and then you have a list where you can put names of people that you've connected with. So as you look through this, a lot of the actions are things that you're doing throughout the day. So you're not necessarily going to tackle every single thing on here in a seated 1-hour session, but it's like good prompts of things that you should be doing. Obviously, working out and drinking your Shakeology, for me, that happens first thing in the morning. I don't necessarily go and find my tracker right at that moment and cross it off, but when I sit down to do my power hour, I know that I can cross that off. Updating your stories, I do throughout the day. And I love here that it gives you ideas of ways to update your stories. If you're not using stories, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, you got to get on that bandwagon. The more stories the more you're participating there, the better engagement you're going to get in just in your overall traction and engagement. So, all of the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, want us to use the things that they want us to use. And stories is one of those major places or areas right now. So, I'm updating my stories throughout the day. I am responding and liking and commenting on posts in my personal feed and in my challenge groups at different portions of the day. I take some time in the morning to do that. I take some time midday to do that, like on my lunch break, and then again at the end of the day. That's an area, like on here, it has 25 minutes. I'm breaking that up throughout my day. If I only answered questions and responded to comments right now when I did my power hour, then I might miss something that somebody has asked that's really important to their journey. But at the same time, I know for me that can be a black hole that I can spend my entire power hour answering questions and responding and commenting on posts. So for me, I really rely on a timer. I set a timer on my phone or on my watch, and when I am doing different activities, I set that timer, and I have to be really disciplined about when it goes off, I go to the next activity. So as we work through this together, we're not going to hit every single area on this tracker today in the hour, but throughout the day I will. Does that make sense? And if you guys have questions, I will try to answer them, but I want you to actively be working with me, not just, watching, right? So I'm going to be doing my power hour right now along with you. The first place we're going to spend time is initiating connections, adding followers, and basically creating relationships. So on the tracker, there's a 20-minute time period for this. So I will set my timer. Before I set it, I do want to give you some tips on how I go about doing this. So a lot of my business the last 6 months or so has come from Instagram. So when I am looking for new followers and creating new relationships and connections, I'm doing one of 2 things primarily. First, I am looking at hashtags that are relevant to me that may be outside the health and wellness scope, right? So I have 4 small children. I am a runner. Those are the 2 probably primary things that come to mind that I tend to find my tribe, because most of the people I connect with are also active outside of just their Beachbody workouts. I'm a working mom, so I tend to find my tribe are busy moms with young families. So I look for hashtags that are relevant to that group of people. I want my tribe, whether they're coaches or they're challengers, to feel like people I'd want to hang out with, that I really just connect and vibe with. The conversations are so much easier when you are approaching it that way. So things that I recommend doing, if you're looking for hashtags, I tend to follow, and I think this was Gary Vee's method or philosophy, but it's been really helpful for me. I find 10 hashtags a day, and let's say I'm putting in Marathon Mama. Okay, I see Courtney Bell on here. She and I ran a marathon together in October. So, moms that are training for marathons, I know for sure we're going to have a lot in common. It is not an easy feat to do with a bunch of small kids. So let's say I found Marathon Mama. I would put that into, and I'm going to have my phone out because I'm actively working with you guys, okay? So I would go to the search bar. I would type in Marathon Mama. Okay. And when that tag comes up, I'm going to select that hashtag, and I tend to hit recent. Now you can do this with recent or top, but I go through and I comment on the 10 most recent pictures. Some days if I have time, I'll do the 10 top pictures and the 10 most recent posts. Now, remember, like, these are social network opportunities, right? It's a great way to connect with people in a really honest, authentic way. I don't comment like a spam bot. I'm like, hey, great job on that 18 miles. I know how hard that is. I comment as if I saw this human in real life and participate in their posts in a way that's meaningful. If I can add value, I do, but I don't necessarily come in there to add value. I'm trying to connect with people and create new relationships. So I do that for 10 hashtags each day. Another way that I will connect with and find new followers is going to people that I'm already connected with, not coaches. That's spammy. That's icky. I'm not going to go to Courtney or Teresa's, Instagram page and start following all of their followers. No, but I have plenty of friends. My sisters have friends that are not coaches. And I know that people that are following me and that are choosing to participate in my feed likely are connected with other people that we would also vibe well. So those are my two primary methods on how I'm growing my audience and growing my network on Instagram. You can do the very same thing on Facebook if Facebook is your place. Most of my business over the 4 years that I have been a coach has been Facebook oriented, 6 months into really having a shift to Instagram. But I am a firm believer, and my team rolls their eyes at me all of the time, that I am still tapping into my warm market. 4 years into this business, your warm market continues to become available and to grow. And I say warm market, if a friend of a friend of a friend reaches out to me about a challenge pack, that to me is warm market. That's not a true cold market attraction person, right? That's somebody that has somehow we have connected through friends. So do not count your warm market out. If you've been a coach for 3 months and you're saying, I'm already out of my warm market, you're not. That is a story that you're telling yourself. Find ways to expand within your warm market. And oftentimes that's just trying to find connections with people that you have common friends with. And you can do this in a non-spammy, icky way by really trying to provide value on your feed and to connect with them in a meaningful way, right? It's when you are going after people and only trying to sell them something that it becomes icky and yucky. Okay, so that was a lot of gabbing. Hopefully you maybe already started to work while I was talking, but I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. And for the next 20 minutes, you are to initiate connections, add followers and connections on your social media. Okay, so someone just sent a message and asked, do I go after like big accounts? So of course I'm steering clear from any other coaches. I'm not following their followers or trying to connect with their followers for obvious reasons. We don't want to do that. But yeah, if there's like I haven't had a ton of success with like spending all of my energy on um, really big Instagram accounts that have, 20,000 followers. I really have more success connecting with like the everyday mom, So I will if their feed is open, if it's public, then I'll go through and like their pictures and leave a comment or two. If it's private, then, I do request to follow private accounts because I think that I add a lot of value to moms in my account. And so I'm confident in that I don't ever get a message saying like, this is weird, why did you follow me? So don't let that like trip you up. If it's a private account and it's a friend of a friend, I still think that's an okay place to request a follow. If they are at all uncomfortable, they can always decline it, right? Plus, the more engagement, like, or engage, the more you engage on others' account, the more payoff you're going to have on your own. Like if you're always posting and never liking and never commenting on anybody else's stuff, that's not good. And I'm not one to get crazy about algorithms by any stretch of the imagination, but that's just not the way that these platforms are optimized. So the more you're engaging and interacting, the more eyes are going to see your stuff too. So it is time well spent, even if it doesn't feel like immediately that the ROI is like super high. It's really time well spent in terms of creating new relationships and getting your stuff seen more frequently. And it doesn't take long. If you have a method, you can really start to work through, lots of new engagement and connection opportunities. And I always feel like it's really eye-opening. If you're using a post, or I'm sorry, a hashtag that you assume is going to get you like all of these connections and you're going to find your tribe. I can't tell you how often when I like dig into that hashtag, I'm like, these are probably not my people, but I thought they were. So it's a great way to kind of help you navigate to connect with people that are really going to fit into your avatar. Hi, Brett. All right, we have about 8 minutes or so left. Just I always like to have an update on time. So if you're just hopping on, we are working on initiating connections, adding followers, and just connecting. So you can be doing so on either Facebook or Instagram, or maybe you use Twitter. I'm not sure. Whatever you use. Amber, do I look for 10 new hashtags every day? I try to. That's my goal. Sometimes I don't get to all of them, but yes, I try to find 10 hashtags every day. And I don't know that that is true forever. I probably cycle through like over the course of a month and then I might start repeating them. But that's just a good guideline. You could always do less than that. But remember, your actions should just be in line kind of with where you are and what your goals, what you want to be. I mean, I've used so many hashtags over over the years of coaching that some are more relevant to me now than they were earlier, but it's still a great way to find people. And I think that where hashtags get twisted is that for a long time I looked at hashtags as a way for people to find me, and now I look at hashtags as a way to find my tribe and find my people. So that to me feels like really productive time spent versus being like, sometimes it can feel like you're just throwing darts at a wall and you're hoping, or noodles at a wall and you're hoping that something sticks, or you're throwing darts in the dark. I'm really good at like getting cliches mixed up. But yeah, so I do try to cycle through. And if the hashtag thing is overwhelming, then you can always go the route of connecting with friends of friends on Instagram or on Facebook. For me, I just really prefer doing the friends of friends thing on Instagram. I feel like Instagram is like a place where it is less strange. Like sometimes if you get a friend request on Facebook, it can be like, I don't know this person. On Instagram, it's totally normal for someone to follow you that doesn't know you very well, or for you to follow someone that you don't know very well. So that's kind of why I tend to do the friend of a friend thing more over on Instagram. One thing to keep in mind with Instagram, you can only do 50 actions an hour. So I don't necessarily sit here and count each action, but I am mindful of if I'm unfollowing, following, commenting, liking, I don't want to get myself put into Instagram jail for a little bit. If you are just hopping on and joining us, we are still in our connections and followers, creating new engagements. We just have a couple minutes left, so if that's not somewhere you've spent time today, make sure you take these next couple minutes to do so. And you guys know the difference between a comment that's going to read like, this person didn't even look at this picture, like they were just doling out comments like crazy, to where somebody actually stops, takes the time to read your post, leaves a comment that like speaks to you. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time to give, but that's an easy, that's an easy way to give to people. Like, giving to people doesn't always have to look the same way, but telling someone that like their picture is gorgeous, or that their hair looks beautiful, or that their post really touched your heart, like whatever it is, when you leave that feedback for someone else, like it can be really meaningful. And that is the beginning of how relationships are created, right? All right, go ahead and finish up on this last comment or post, or not post, comment or like, because we're about to move on. Okay. All right, there it goes. Okay, so our next part of the action hour that we are going to spend time on is inviting. In my opinion, inviting is easily the part of your business. I don't think a lot of people would argue about that with me. What I think is most important is I normally do it at the beginning of my action hour. If I'm doing a power hour, a power pocket at home, I am 100% doing my inviting first. Kind of like the whole eat that frog, get the thing that you want to do least out of the way. There are so many good trainings on inviting and simplifying it and taking the fear out of it. There's many good trainings here in the team page or in the champs page that you could search. Kate Morgan has a great one on it. There's a lot in here. But we're not going to spend too much time right now like talking about why inviting is important and what you should be saying. We're going to do things that move our business forward, and that means we have to be inviting. So if you look on the tracker, it does give a timeline. This is an area that I tend to alter just a little bit. I won't necessarily invite for a particular amount of time. I will set a number. So 10, 5, 2, 20, depending on where you are in your business, that number is very, very different for each of us and what your goals are, right? If you were trying to get in, let's say like a test group, or if you were trying to, there's a qualification for a trainer photo op, like on the trip coming up. There's times that number may be higher than normal. I typically tell my coaches, especially my new coaches, that at a minimum 5 people daily is what you should be shooting for. But I think it's important to pick a number that you can stick to without overwhelming yourself, right? So if you start out at 20 or 10 and like within a week, you find yourself not doing the action because you're falling short of the expected or goal you set for yourself, then it's way better to bring that number back down and find a number that you can commit to. So for me, currently, that number is 20 people to learn about the challenge group or about the coaching opportunity. So, and specifically, I will be inviting 5 people to a challenge group opportunity, specifically UPF, and 15 to learn more about the coaching opportunity. So because we are on here, I am going to set a time of 15 minutes, but know that if you don't get to the number that you set for yourself, you need to come back and finish that. Or if you put 2 people and it takes you 2 minutes, then let's go, girl. Like, you can do more than that. Okay, you're selling yourself short. So I'm going to go ahead and put 15 minutes on my timer, and we will invite. One thing I will say with inviting, since we're on this, I think it's really easy to get in a habit of going through the motions in terms of like, okay, I'm going to send all my invites via Facebook Messenger. I'm going to send them all via Instagram DM. Invite the person to coaching in the way that you talk to them about it. So like talk to them in general. My best friend, I would never send her a Facebook message and be like, hey, do you want to be a coach, right? I am going to text her. I'm going to call her. So I think that sometimes we get in our head that like, you have to be using like one particular method. You need to use what method makes most sense for you and that person. So if that's email, if that's picking up the phone and having a conversation and explaining it to them, if that is Insta or text or Facebook Messenger, whatever it is, use the method that makes most sense for you and that person. Don't get in a habit of only doing your invitations in one way, because that's the first, if this is the first time you're inviting somebody to the opportunity, you really want to set the tone right from the jump and not be like, why is somebody that I talk to via text all of the time now sending me a Facebook message about this opportunity? Sorry, I'm starting to cold. And I know that seems really obvious and common sense, but sometimes it's not. Okay. One more little tidbit on inviting. So something that's I've found really successful. I'm about 50-50 on signing people up with the coaching opportunity from the beginning, like from the point of initial purchase. But if they elect not to sign up that way, I wait about 2 weeks. I make sure that in those first 2 weeks of their coaching challenger or their challenger experience, that they're having a great experience, that they're showing up, that they're logging their shakes and their workouts and participating in the challenge group. And I really want those first 14 days to do the job for me, so that when I follow up 2 weeks later and say, hey, you're really rocking this. Obviously, Shakeology is helping you in your wellness journey, or as you work towards these goals. What do you think about becoming a coach? Then more times than not, if those first 2 weeks are great, they're going to be like, I've actually been thinking about that. So, I almost always have people to invite to the coaching opportunity, because I'm not just like thinking randomly, who could I invite to be a coach today. Like, I have a very intentional process when it comes to invitations, because I should always have people that are about 2 weeks into the process, and I can try to convert them to coaches. That, in my opinion, is the most I've had the most success with. Almost all of our team is challengers turned coaches. Sherry, I don't right now. Sherry asked if I have a specific invite script that I'm using. Not in this moment, right this second, but there are lots of scripts out there. I really try to keep it simple. I think that people run when they feel like they're being word vomited upon, right? So more times than not, I'm inviting challengers or people that I already have a relationship with to the opportunity. And I'll just say, hey, I think that you would really love what I do as a coach. I think that it would help you maximize your own journey and your experience with all of this. Have you given it any thought? That's surmised, but that is pretty much what I say. When I'm following up with a coach a challenger that's had really great results, I'll just say, look, you are killing this. You're having incredible results in the last 2 weeks. I know you want to stay on the products. Have you thought about doing what I do as a coach? I mean, I try to keep it really simple. I think that we overcomplicate things and we say way too much too often. So, and I know that I am very guilty of that. And when we get a message, it's like this much text and you're explaining all the ins and outs of it without even giving them a chance to like process that you just invited them. I think people just run. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So we have if you guys are just joining us, we are inviting. I asked people or suggested to pick a number of how many invitations you want to send out and send them out. Now, if you need some ideas for inviting for challengers, yeah, Sarah, I do too. I think it's really easy to give way too much info. If you need ideas for inviting to challenger, I believe strongly in inviting. Your business soars when you're inviting to what's relevant. So I'm in the Morning Meltdown 100 test group. So I'm not going to be doing the new reboot of 21 Day Fix and Fix Extreme right now, but I am using Ultimate Portion Fix. So that's going to be the focus of a lot of my inviting over the course of the next couple months, UPF and the 21-day fix reboots, because those are new and relevant, and I like to create some FOMO, right? Of, people like to do things together. My tribe loves to do things together. So that's what I'm going to be inviting to. But as we get closer to the launch of Morning Meltdown 100, then I would switch gears to invite to that. So I think that it's smart to invite to what is new and current. And then you always have something to invite to. You could always invite to what program you're doing as well. Just as a team, we tend to stay on track with whatever's coming out, from the network. All right, just a couple minutes left. Gosh, if you guys can hear the dogs barking outside, we live next to a family that has several friendly dogs, but they bark like they're not friendly to each other all the time, and they're very loud. So if you can hear them, I apologize. All right, so go ahead and finish up on your last invite or two, and we will get ready to move on to our next. I love checking off boxes, so if you have the hard copy of your tracker, check it off as you go. But this is also editable, so so depending on, if I have it in my iPad or my iPhone, I can just click on the boxes, or on my laptop too. So do whatever works for you. Okay, and we only have about 10 minutes left on our action hour today. So what I am going to suggest you do right now, if you've already done this, you can totally do something different, but follow-ups for the next 10 minutes. Okay, so you've heard many leaders say that, follow-ups are just like where the magic happens. And that's so true. I think that sometimes if people ghost on us, or they don't get back to us, we automatically assume that we've offended them, or we've done something wrong, or that basically that we've done something wrong, right? And you've got to get that out of your head. I know for me personally, I either respond to something immediately or 72 days later. There's no in between. I'm just very focused on what I'm doing at that moment. So it's conceivable that somebody else opened your message and wanted to get back to you and just didn't. So, I think follow-ups are so crucial. And I normally don't put a ton of pressure on them. I just say, hey, girlfriend, I just wanted to circle back around. I'm not sure if you saw my last message, but I wanted to see if the timing might be better and you want to join us. I often hear of people needing to follow up with people that have share cart links out. I think that you can follow up with those people and just say, hey, wanted to make sure you received the link. Let me know if it's not working for you. Life happens, and we are not the most important thing in the world, right? But when we're coming from our perspective and we're worried about being, I hear so many coaches saying like they don't want to be annoying or they don't want to be a pester to somebody, they don't want to be bothersome. I think that we start to like convince ourselves that following up is like a bad thing, and it's not. No, I'm not saying like follow up with somebody 1,000 times in one day, but there's a way to do so if it's totally reasonable. And if you're having a conversation with somebody and they just kind of ghosted on you, maybe something happened. And I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, thank you so much, I've been meaning to get to this. So think about the conversations that you've been having recently and where you need to follow up. Often I will have to scroll my, this is one area that I do think that you can do some things the night before to speed up your time the next day. So I will make a list of people that I need to follow up with the night before my working day. So one of the last things that I do before I go to bed is make my follow-up list. I actually write it in my journal, like not my journal, what's this thing called? In my planner. I put the names of like the people that I must follow up with tomorrow. And then that is quick, because I think you can lose a ton of time scrolling through your messages to figure out who you're supposed to follow up with. But if you are writing names down as you go, right, whether it's an electronic, you're using Google Sheets or an Excel sheet or whatever, if you're tracking this Google Streak, like there's so many tools out there, it's kind of on you to be like, I don't have a system, like get one. Trial and error. One's going to work. Many are not going to work. Many are not going to work, but one or two are going to work. And it's up to you to kind of figure out what method works best. No matter how many times I have to try to go electronic, I come back to paper and pen. So I write the names in my planner the night before. That's the way my follow-ups are fast. I use voice messaging a lot. I'm, sending a message, hey, just want to check in. I saw that this order hasn't come in. Let me know if you have had any problems accessing the link. I'm happy to resend. Okay. So we have, like I said, just about 10 minutes. I will set this for follow-ups. I'm rolling my eyes at the dogs, not at you guys. If you are just joining us, we are finishing up our action hour with following up. Okay, I'm going to share this really quickly just because two of the messages that I've sent since we've been doing this action hour, remember how I said I'm just all about simplifying. So I reached out to two challengers that they are 2 weeks into a 3-week group. Both are doing Transform 20 and happened to send me transformation pictures this morning because they're starting the second phase and just really excited by their results. Both feel like they are very early on in their journey and that they like the idea of coaching, but that they're not ready yet. And so I told them earlier today, hey, like it's an ongoing evolving process. I'm still changing and growing. And the other one said, but I don't have a really big following. And so I reached out to each of them and just said, listen, I know that you have hesitations. I know you don't think you're ready. I know you don't think you have a big following, but do you know of anyone in your world that would benefit from what you've been implementing in the last 2 weeks? And they both responded right now, and that was my invite right now. Okay, that was like kind of how I re-invited them to coaching or follow-up. I guess I put it in the coaching category, but maybe it goes in the follow-up category. It's okay. Both were like, okay, send me all the details, I'm in. So that's what I mean about simplifying the message, right? If someone's having success, don't let their concern of their lack of followers. That's why if I could tell, one thing I harp on with my new coaches is I don't care if you have 2 Instagram followers. Do you have real humans in your life that you could help become happier and healthier? Start there. That's where you got to start. It's not about having this massive following. What good does it do to have a massive following if you're not even having conversations with people anyway? So anyway, that was just some language that was successful for me today. So if you have challengers that are having success, maybe just saying to them, hey, do you know of anyone that could benefit from implementing what you've done the last couple weeks? Okay, let's help them. And I think that when you make it simple like that, it's easier for people to wrap their head around. We are up against the clock and we are out of time. A couple things I do want to highlight before I jump off. So we did what I consider to be some of the most important business building activities, okay? That doesn't mean that working out and drinking your Shakeology are not important. That does not mean that recognizing achievement within your team page is not vital. Recognizing achievement within your challenge group is not vital. You guys, those are hugely important. I believe that teams and success come from creating a culture where we celebrate wins, we link arms with one another, we show up for one another. So being present in your challenge groups, being willing to recognize wins and celebrate wins and give people extra love is super, super important. But those are not necessarily you have to do more than that. You have to be inviting. You have to be creating new relationships and making new connections. You have to follow up with people. Everything is on here for a reason. I don't do my personal development during my power hour or my power pocket. During what I call a power hour, an action hour, a power pocket, those are activities that are moving my business forward. I listen to my personal development when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm taking a shower. We got a little waterproof speaker. When I'm driving, when I'm unloading the dishwasher, when I'm folding laundry. All of those things do not take away from my family. They are typically times that they're mindless minutes. I can stick power hour in there, or I can stick PD in there, no problem. As I said in the beginning, setting some times throughout the day that you can hop in and be present in your challenge groups and answering questions. To me, I do morning, midday, evening, and about 5 minutes each time, because I can go down a rabbit hole that I am on my phone for too long. So I have to be really disciplined about that. Contributing to your challenge groups. I'm a big believer in scheduling your post. We have, in most challenge groups, at least a daily post, if not an AM and a PM post, and my team is super awesome about, sharing that responsibility with me. They'll check in and answer questions, so that's something that we can do together. And then making sure that we've covered everything on here. And that's everything on the daily business activity tracker. So I hope that some of the stuff that I shared today was helpful and useful and that you can implement. Like I said, if you are wanting your business to go forward, you have everything that you need right at your fingertips. What I see most frequently and what I feel in my own business, when I'm not tracking, I have a false perception of what's actually happening in my business. I might be on my phone and thinking I'm doing business activities, but I'm really not. And the only way that I have found to keep myself accountable there is to use a tracking system. So if you're not doing that yet, if you're a new coach and you want to help your own coaches and grow your own team, get them set up with this bad boy and give them the courage to do it. You guys screenshot and share it every day back and forth. Look for an accountability partner for that. Having to show up and actually say, yes, I filled it out, here it is feels a whole lot different than being like, oh, I didn't get to it today, but I'll get to it tomorrow. The big mo works in both directions, right? Little actions every day over time create massive change in your business in a positive way. Deciding not to do those little actions every day over time makes it really hard to get back into the habit of doing them. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to see if we have any extra questions. Amber, I would just, timing it. So Amber said she just has a challenger that's doing awesome and she's getting discouraged when people reach out and when she reaches out and people won't commit. We cannot ignore the fact that timing is a big part of this. I honest to God believe that everybody on this planet should be a Beachbody coach in some capacity, whether they're building a 6-figure business or they're just using it for the discount. Like, I believe that this can fit into every person's life, but the timing has to be right for them, and just give her time. And I have a feeling the right time will present itself to her. And to those people that she's reaching out to, but don't limit yourself. That's why creating the connections is so important, and creating new relationships. You don't want to be in a situation where you're so busy inviting and following up the same small group of people that you never really give yourself the opportunity to grow, because then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm out of people, so doing those small activities we did at the beginning, even though they seem really simple, like commenting on somebody's picture, finding a new follower, making new connections, that seems like not that important right this second, especially if you're like, this isn't leading to a sale right now. Why do I have to do it? Because you're setting yourself up for success in the future. You're setting yourself up to never run out of people. Okay, I'm gonna hop off. I was so happy to be here today, and if you joined me live, thanks. If you're watching the replay, let me know and post a question. And if it's anything I can answer, I'll hop back in. See ya.